Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast. Let me start with this. This will only mean things to those of you that are watching the video. I've got merch. I've got my first and if I look at the video here, if I step to the side, where is it there? Okay, that's awkward. It's Know, Like, Trust. I'm playing with some different kind of t-shirt designs at the moment. I feel this, you can't be a real online business if you don't have t-shirts. Anyway, that's what I'm telling myself, but I've had some fun with it. I'll have some different designs coming out soon as well. I'll put them up on my Instagram. You can tell me which ones you like, which ones you don't. But anyway, I've got merch. I feel like I've finally grown up as well. So, hey, today we're going to continue on with the entire email conversation. In the last episode, so this episode now I think is 176. In episode 175, we really talked about what email marketing is. I gave you a definition of email marketing. We talked a little bit about how often we should be sending our emails, the 3 kinds of emails that we should be sending. If you haven't listened to that episode, you can after this one. This will make sense in terms of a standalone, but if you want to kind of go a little bit deeper, then you can. Today's episode, we're really going to be talking about best practices for writing an email. So how do we get our emails open? How do we engage with our patients and potential patients? And so I'll go through 6 or 7 best practices there is for that. And then in the next episode, I'm going to talk about how do you start to build a list of people who are potential patients. So who are not existing patients yet, but are raising their hand that they might be interested in what you have to offer. We'll do that in the next episode. So let me remind you a little bit about why I think email marketing is one of the essential strategies that us as small businesses, chiropractors, naturopaths, Chinese med, health and wellness practitioners and experts, why we should be using email as a part of our community outreach as well. Here's the first thing, quite simply. We just don't have the billion-dollar budgets and the full-time staff that some of the bigger companies have to have, more marketing going out there. The marketing that we do has to be really efficient in terms of our time, and it needs to be really efficient in terms of the results that it gets as well. Email marketing is absolutely great for that. The return on investment, which I'll talk about in a moment, that you get with marketing, with email marketing, I think is almost better than any other form of marketing. There's more competition now than ever, and that competition is in all different forms. The feeds that we have inside the news feeds, the social media feeds, every time somebody steps in there are hundreds, if not thousands of messages waiting for them as well. There's much more competition, I'll talk about healthcare. Well, let's start with this now. There's more competition within healthcare. So, when I graduated here in Australia 140 years ago, 22 years ago, I think in Australia there was less than 4,000 chiropractors in the whole of Australia. That's getting close to have doubled now. So there are more chiropractors, and not only that too is that now there are more massage places, more yoga studios, more personal trainers. The people that are competing for the attention of my patients and my potential patients is much larger than it's ever been there too. But it's not just other health practices that are competing for their attention. Businesses are competing for their attention. In fact, I think when I think about one of the roles of what business is about, it's really about getting and keeping the attention of our existing clients and potential clients as well. So along with all that, attention spans are spiraling down lower and lower and lower. So it is harder, once we actually even get the attention of people, it's harder to keep the attention of them. So email can be really helpful for that as well. It gets some pretty damn impressive results. Remember, you're 6 times more likely to get somebody to click a message in an email than click and follow a link from a social media post there too. You're 5 times more likely to be seen from email than you are inside Facebook or the other social media platforms. Remember this, at its simplest, when we send somebody an email and it gets its way into the email inbox, they actually have to do something, delete it, archive it, or read it. And it's great for those of us that are busy. It means that we don't have to necessarily engage with our email content right now. I might get a post that this morning, for instance, I was scouting my way through my emails, and there's a bunch of emails there that I want to read, but just not right now. They're not urgent for me. I've got my other jobs to do. But if that was social media, they'd get lost. I guess I could probably tag them in some way. I actually don't know how I would do that, but they would get lost inside the social media platform as well. And the big thing, I started this conversation off a couple episodes ago talking about owning the race course. We own the email list. We control how often we send to them. We control what we send. There's nobody there trying to filter the messages. Now, it means we need to be sending good quality content. We don't want to be sending out rubbish content because then the community will shut us down there as well. But we don't have third parties that are dictating how we go about communicating with the peeps. So what I want to talk about now is best practices. You've decided that I'm going to start to send some emails, and I would suggest that what you do is you just start to send them to your existing patient base. You grab the email addresses of your patients. Now, if you haven't done this yet, people often say to me, I've not really collected the email addresses of my existing patients. How do I go about that? I'm glad you asked. Really simple. Just let them know this. Hey, listen, we're going to start to send out a regular email newsletter. It'll be full of really helpful content. My focus is quite simply this: to help you to get well in less time. These messages will direct you to really helpful tips and strategies as well that in the long term will save you time and money and help you get better results. Would you like to join? My experience is when my coaching clients do this is that 9 out of 10 people go, hell yeah, okay. There's going to be 1 out of 10 that goes, nope, I'm okay. And that's totally fine as well. We don't want people on our email list that don't want to be there. It's not about the size of our list. It's really about the interactivity, the connection, the engagement that we want to be building. So don't stress if you don't have email addresses from your existing patients just yet. Just ask them, like I said just then. Okay. Best practices. Let's get into this. First thing is that you need to be using an email service provider. Okay, you don't be doing this from Gmail or Outlook or Hotmail, any of those kind of things there as well. It's not going to allow you to do some of the specific things that we want to do in terms of measure our open rates, see who's engaging with our content, what emails do they like better than the other ones as well. It also, most important, when we choose an email service provider, I chatted about this in the previous episode, 2 things we want to consider. A provider that allows us to segment our list. Simply what this means when we segment our list is that I can differentiate between who's an active client and who's an inactive client, and then possibly who is still a potential client as well. So we want to be communicating with these people in very, very different ways too. The second thing to be really thinking about is choosing an email service provider that integrates nicely with your appointment book. That's an important thing to do as well, because that might help you find out who's active and who's inactive, okay? I love ActiveCampaign. I love MailChimp. There are hundreds of different providers out there. They're all pretty much ace now. If you've got one and you're happy with it, don't change just because I said that I love ActiveCampaign and MailChimp as well too. Send date details. This is important. It kind of leaps off that as well. Don't have your emails coming from angus@gmail.com or Angus_1974. Go Tigers. I don't know why I said 1974. I was born 1975. Honest, I promise as well. So we want a professional name in there, okay? So, Life Chiropractic, Adio Media, Angus Pyke, whatever it is there as well. So set up a proper domain. Make sure that you look like you're here to stay. These are the kind of things that reflect the professionalism of our business as well. So make sure that you have a proper domain there as well. And then also when you're sending your emails, the email service provider will want to know who's the send from. So you can have it come from Life Chiropractic, or in our case, we just have it come from Angus and Kirby. So that's the 2 chiropractors that work at my chiropractic practice. Now, if you have multiple practitioners, more than 2, then you're probably going to just need to choose your practice name as well. But if you're the only solo practitioner, then have it come from Ange or Peter or David. The overarching rule to be thinking about with regards to your email is that we like to open emails that look like they're coming from our friends. They're conversational, they're laid back, they're informal. So we want to mirror, we want to copy that kind of design, that feel as well. So again, in terms of the send details, 2 things you want to think about. Make it professional in terms of at Life Chiropractic, but then in the send details itself as well, is the actual email is coming from Angus and Kirby as well. The third thing to think about, and probably you need to think about this as much as anything when you're actually writing your email, is the subject line. The subject line has more impact than anything about whether our email gets opened. It's a bit like the headline on a web page, on the newspaper, in the magazines, all of those kind of things there too. So we want to really think about our subject line. When you're thinking about your subject line, there are 3 different things to think about in terms of categories. One of the best ones that will get high open rates is this concept called a blind or curiosity-driven subject line there as well. Remember, I talk about this a lot. From a marketing perspective, curiosity is one of those things that really drives attention. I talk about this with regards to the opening moments of your video, the first 3 or 4 seconds. If you have a hook that is curiosity driven, which might be in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that you're making when choosing a bed. There's some curiosity in amongst that as well. So curiosity driven headlines, when it comes to our subject lines in the videos, are a really great way to go. The second one is a direct, it's really clear, it explains exactly what's going to go on and probably the benefits too. So, that same example, if I did a video in around choosing a bed there too, a direct headline might be 3 things to think about when choosing a bed. So it's really clear in terms of what this email is going to be talking about. And then the final thing to kind of think about in terms of, and we can mix some of these together there as well, as personalization. So when you're using an email service provider, it will allow you to insert the person's name, and you should always do this because personalization of our emails and our messages really increases open rate as well. And so it might be in the headline, it might just say, Angus, in today's video, I'm talking about 3 things to think about when choosing a mattress. That would be a little bit long, but just having my name in the headline can be a really great way to increase the open rate. So subject lines of your email have a disproportionate impact in terms of whether your email gets opened or not. So as a general rule, blind or curiosity driven is a great way to go. Direct, explain, let them know exactly what you're talking about, and add some personalization when you can in there as well. When you're thinking about the design of your email, particularly when you're setting up your email in something like MailChimp, for instance, it'll want to help you set up a template. And they have these gorgeous looking templates inside of there that are very corporate looking. They look like they're coming from big corporate companies as well. And this is not the kind of thing that, believe it or not, now I love really great design, but when we're wanting to, as I mentioned before, when we're wanting to send an email out there, we want to keep it really basic, okay? We don't want to have big header images up the top there and photographs all the way through it. These are the type of emails that we might get from lots of our e-commerce type sort of company. It works really great with that. Lots of pictures of shoes, dresses, whatever you happen to be looking for. But our emails as well, we want to really, you might want to have your logo down the bottom there too, but keep it really, really simple, away from a lot of that, super professional design. If you're looking at the video version of this at the moment, I've got a couple of examples up at the moment. On the left-hand side here, I've got an email from Melbourne City Land Rover. It really looks like it's one of those bulk messages that's sent out. It's not personalized in any kind of way there. Up the top, it's got the big kind of Land Rover heading and then a picture of one of their cars as well. It's really clear that this has got very little, it's not personalized to me. It doesn't feel like it's come from a friend at all. On the other side, I've got an email here that's come from Rick Mulready. Rick teaches some Facebook stuff. He's a cool guy. He's got a nice podcast as well if you're looking to learn more about sort of Facebook advertising and stuff. So this email, if you didn't know any better, this would look like Rick is a friend of mine. Inside of it's got a picture of him cuddling his baby. That would relate to the story that he's telling inside of here as well. So this one here is likely to get past my filter inside my brain that says this is an advertising message, and it makes it look like it's much more a message that's coming from a friend. So for best practices, we want our emails to look like that. Remember, this is a friend message that we're connecting with our patients as well. So think about that too. When it comes time to the copy and the messaging, writing the words inside there too, I want to just give you 3 tips here. I've done whole episodes about this in the past, and I will do more entire episodes in the future about copywriting. But 3 things to think about. Whenever you're writing an email, and the same as when you're shooting a video, it's best to think that you're focusing on just one person. Imagine, as I'm shooting this video right now and I'm staring into a camera in a room here all by myself talking, people walking past the window looking at me here too, I'm imagining that I'm talking to one person, okay? The person I'm actually thinking about talking about today is Ange, one of my coaching clients. She popped into my mind. So Ange, if you listen to this, this is all for you, okay? We've been having some email conversations recently. So imagine I'm just talking to one person. It helps to relax me for starters, keeps me more focused on what message I actually need to be sharing. And I think it means that more times than not, we end up kind of speaking like a real human being, as opposed to imagining that we're speaking to hundreds of people. We then start to get way too formal with our language, all those kind of things. So the first thing to do is to imagine that you're writing for just one person, and that person you're writing to is a good friend of yours as well. The next point I just touched on as well is write as you speak. We have been trained throughout our education process to write in a very specific kind of way. We're very formal in our language. Our English teachers, our lecturers all encourage us to speak in really fancy kind of ways there too. And when we start to write, we go back to those. But it's, in many cases, much more difficult to read that. There is a breakdown. We have a voice inside our head when we're reading. And when we can write with the appropriate slang that matches you, how you would normally talk, you would, instead of saying it is, it's, those kind of things like that too. When we write in a much more casual way, it's much more easy for us to read. There's suggestions that we should be writing for the equivalent of we talk about a grade 6 over here. So that's somebody that's like 12 or 13 years of age. If somebody of that age couldn't read your emails, you probably need to simplify them as well. So calm it down a little bit. No, calm's not the right word there too. Simplify it a little bit. Write as you speak with something that'll happen there too. Third point to think about is keep your paragraphs and your words really short. It kind of goes into the same thing there too. When somebody's staring at the email and they're looking at them in front of them, when there's big blocks of text, it's overwhelming. This is too much for me to read. It looks too complicated. But when there's short words and short blocks of text, it's much easier on the eye, and they're much more likely to work their way through that email as well when it's broken up again. So again, write for one person, write as you speak, keep your words short, keep your paragraphs short also. Point number 6 here as well. One of the things that you should be doing with your email marketing is when you link this in, for instance, with your video marketing. You're making a great video each and every week. You've put that video up on the social media platforms, whichever ones you're focusing on, or across many of them. Hopefully what you're doing as well as you're adding that video to your blog, you should be prioritizing content on your website, not on the social media platforms. In fact, even if you've only uploaded the video up onto Facebook, it's really, really easy to learn how to embed that video straight onto Facebook. If you don't know how to do that, do a YouTube look. No, embed the Facebook video straight onto your website. Did I say that? It's really easy to do. Quick YouTube search and you'll work out how to do that. We want to be sending people to our website to read our blogs, not to the social media platforms. We want to be sending people to our website to watch our videos. Now, the reason that we want to be doing that is the more people that we have going to our website more consistently is that adds real authority for our website. One of the ways that people find your practice is they go into Google and they search naturopath near me, chiropractor Port Melbourne. And when Google is looking for which practice should they send people to, one of the things that it looks for is sites that have a lot of traffic. And when people get to that site, do they stay there for any length of time? And if you're the one that's generating the traffic to your site each and every week or each and every month, at least, remember, we're sending an email at least once a month or two. When you're generating that traffic, what you're helping to do is really to build the authority of your site as well. So you should be making sure that if you're sending somebody somewhere, that's it, sending somebody somewhere to actually read something, watch a video, that priority is that you send them to your website to do that as well. And we do this by inserting what's called hyperlinks. You ought to send it in my emails if you get on my email list. If you're not on my email list, get on it, man. I send out cool emails. So what you do is that you just hyperlink, which means they click those words and off they go over to watch or read your content as well. And we need to have multiples of those hyperlinks. Don't just have a click here to watch the video once throughout the two. I try and have 2, if not 3 links throughout my video. And then I try to, each of those links, give them a different benefit. Sometimes I like to make those links curiosity driven. You know, watch this video today and you'll find out the biggest mistake that I make when it comes to my video marketing. Then I'm getting a little bit further down in the email. I teach you in terms of the exact cameras that I like to use and my favorite microphones. That's a benefit-driven one there as well. Or I could put a scarcity one down the bottom that says, hey, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be leaving this video up for. Make sure you go and watch it now. So what we want to do inside our emails is, again, multiple hyperlinks. Make sure we're sending them, if we're sending them somewhere to watch or engage with our content, that it's over onto our website as well. Clickable images. Images inside of your videos are a great thing to have as well. If you're sending somebody over to watch a video, then the simple thing that I do is I do a screenshot of my video. I put a little play button on there as well. Sometimes I'll put some engaging text on there, and then I make that image clickable, which just means this, and the email service providers make it really easy for you to do this too, is that when we see a play button on an image, there's something inside our brain that really wants to click it. Once they click on that play button, it immediately takes them over to my website so they can start watching the video there. From a graphic design point of view, my favorite spot to go to do this is Canva, C-A-N-V-A. Really easy for you to do a screenshot. If you're on a Mac, I think it's Command-Shift-4. That gives you a little screenshot of the video. If you're on a PC, you shouldn't be, get a Mac. Snagit is another piece of software that's really great as well, that can help you do all this kind of stuff there too. But again, if you're watching the video of this now, I've put a little image up that shows you exactly what I mean by clickable image here as well. So I try and choose images that are a little bit kind of interesting as well. Sometimes I'll purposely choose an image of me pulling a pretty strange face, which seems to happen all the time when you pause on videos. I don't know why I'm never smiling, but it stops. I'm always pulling strange faces as well. So clickable images are a great thing to have inside of your videos, particularly if you're sending somebody over to watch a video. But sometimes you could be searching for a GIF or something like that as well. So you can find GIFs. Now, if you don't know what a GIF is, and some people GIF, these are these little kind of animated little videos. They can go for anywhere between 1 and 4 seconds. If you want to search for one of those, you can do a Giphy search. You can add those to your videos as well. If you have an image or a GIF that's kind of relevant to the email that you're sending out, that could be a really great thing to add to your email as well, to add some engagement. Let's summarize all of these kind of things there too. Use an email service provider. I love MailChimp. It's great, reasonably priced, easy to use, does lots of cool things as well. No Gmail accounts, gang. Remember that as well. So at Life Chiropractic, at Vital Health Chiro, whoever you are, make sure you set that up. When possible, when you're sending your emails and it wants to know who's the email coming from, you get to personalize it. If possible, if you're the only practitioner in the practice, have it come from Angus, not from Life Chiropractic as well. Take time to really think about the subject line. What would be something that might be curiosity driven? How can you really simplify exactly what the benefit of somebody is opening up this email? And when possible, use personalization. Keep the design simple, not corporate. Okay, we want this email to look like it's coming from a friend. That's a really important thing. When you're writing, the most important thing to think about is pretend that you're writing to a good friend. How would you write to them? And that tends to simplify everything because we don't use big fancy words when we're writing to our friends. You know, we tend to kind of use a little bit more slang and write as we speak. So that's my best advice, not only when you're writing an email, but when you're shooting a video as well. If you're sending them somewhere to, now your email might have all the content inside of it. It might have your 3 tips for choosing a mattress. It might have, might be sharing the mistakes people make when buying vitamin D3, whatever it is. It might be all in there. But if you're sending them on back to your, read a blog post, read an article that you put there too, when possible, send them to your website because that'll help your search engine optimization down the track there as well. Use images inside there as well, clickable images as well. So when they click on that image, it takes them over to where they need to go. Whew, that's a lot we've covered today, gang. That's a lot of detail. That's how you write patient attracting magnetic emails that people will love to read as well. Writing emails is like any skill. I mean, we all know how to write, but writing emails that are engaging, that are entertaining, that people want to read, will take a little bit of skill like anything in life there as well. But I think it's a skill that you really should be working at for the simple reason that I mentioned right at the very beginning of this is that the return on investment for sending emails to your patients and your potential patients is enormous. There's some suggestion that for every $1 that we invest into this, we can get $38 back. That's pretty wild. Imagine going to a vending machine, popping $1 in, getting $38 back. In the next episode, we're going to talk about how do I go about building an email list of people that are not already patients that might be interested, that I can begin to build more know, like, and trust, just like my t-shirt says here as well, to the stage where they eventually put their hand up and say, hey, Ange, who I'm talking to right now, I want to come in and see you. So we'll talk about that all in the next episode. Gang, as always, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. I love you all so much. I really do. I'm super lovey at the moment there too. Ask my wife. I can't keep away from her. That's probably because she's beautiful. That's now coming under the umbrella of too much information, I guess. Anyway, guys, I do love you lots. See you back here real soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.